It helps if I turn the microphone on, I think.
It may not be golden. It may not be a demon.
So I was running a little bit late. I was watching the final episode of this year for Build Paint Play over on YouTube, and as things go, their schedules and my schedules are very similar. Just because it's a good time to take a break at the end of the year, so I like to do that, and yeah, it's a good time to do it. So let's see who else is on here. Hey Miar, good to see you there. How's it going? All right, let me just pop out some of these chats here. Pop out the chat here. Go over here. We'll pop out the chat over here. And we'll pop out the chat over here. And we'll go back to OBS. Shorten this up a little bit here. And oops. Bring this up. And bring up this up. Yes. Hey Midril. Hey Miar. Good to see you all. Midril, thanks for the lurk. Always appreciated. Glad you're here. So it is the last episode of the year. We're going to take a little break. Come back later on in January, where in January we will be celebrating the 4th year of streaming. So that's going to be good. So hopefully, okay, so I guess the microphone is working. So if you saw my Instagram, or if you're on my Discord, Miar, you want to kick up the command for that if you want, if you get a chance. !Discord, !Instagram. You're more than welcome. If you're not joined me over on Discord or Instagram, you're more than welcome to. You'll see what I finished up with my Knolls from November. Took me a little bit longer to get them finished, but we did. And thanks, Miar. Appreciate that. And yeah, so there it is. That's what we're doing. That's what I did. It's not posted. Actually, it is posted. It's posted up. So my Knolls are posted up there, and tonight I am just throwing a little bit of green stuff on these rat swarms. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to put 3 on a base or 4 on a base. I think 4 on a base looks more swarm-like, but 3 on a base would have given me 1 more base. So anyhow, that's what I'm working on tonight. Just throwing some green stuff on there, filling these gaps, sculpting some more cobblestones in there. I think it's going to be kind of neat looking. So that's going to be fun. But just wanted to see how everybody's year went tonight. Tell me something exciting that happened to you this year. Something good. Something bad even. Let's commiserate. But yeah, it's been a weird month. It's been a weird month. It's been a weird year for me. So looking back, I went to a lot of conventions. Most of the ones that I usually go to. I had to miss a couple of little local conventions. First year without your dog, yeah, I'm sorry about that, Miar. That's dogs for you, though. They do tend to have a have an expiration date. So they do tend to have an expiration date. I think about my cat. I think about Pumpkin. I'm like, man, one day I'm going to wake up in the morning and he's not going to be there. That's animals for you. We do give them our best. It's funny, they're only part of our lives, but we're their whole life when you think about it. So, but I know you did right by your dog, Miar. Did the right thing at the end as well, and you gave him the best life that they could ever have. So, you did right. You took good care of them. We do the best we can with our animals, our pets, our buddies, our amigos. So for me this year, probably the worst thing was my AC went out. AC went out, and that was pretty horrible. But cool things, I got to hang out with Miar back in October. We wound up at DD Minnie's house, at DD's place. So that was kind of cool. That was very unexpected. It was a treat. Too bad, too bad Dan wasn't feeling better. Oh well, he was a trooper for having us over, and his wife was very long suffering and putting up with us. So that was that was a good time. So Adepticon is coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. I've got a so I missed two local conventions last year because of health and car issues. Over the last year, I should say. So that happens, but there will always be more conventions, you know. So I'll probably do some locals, and then after locals, I think I'm gonna do. I know I'm gonna do Adepticon. Might do Origins. Probably won't do Gen Con. It's just Origins I can do pretty easily, just because it's a couple hours away. But I didn't really. Last year I went up to run games, but we really didn't have a lot that really justified me being there. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. We'll play it out. We'll see how it goes. Talk about it with the rest of Sea Dog Game Studios. See how that goes. Maybe I'll work in the booth or something. But it's hard to not go to Origins just because it's so close. But I think Gen Con is a no go for me this year. I just what it is I gotta consider my folks, my family. I need to go and I need to go and travel and see my family, and that's kind of it's hard to do when they move 1,000 miles away, you know. And you don't like to fly. I hate flying. Never liked it. Never liked flying. But eventually got to get there. Got to do that. So And it's funny because just last year, after Adepticon and after Origins, I think, uh, my company just told me that they do had a have a they did they we lost a really good worker because we didn't have a paid vacation scheme. So now we sort of have a paid vacation scheme. I say sort of because it's for seniority. It's based on seniority. So it's kind of a rollout initiative really to see how it goes before. So before not having an actual vacation scheme, kind of taking time off was a lot easier because you just said, "All right, I'm going to be gone." Now with paid vacation, it's like, I guess I'm not going to be gone as much. It's kind of weird. When I flew to New Mexico, one of the pilots, I swore he thought he was an astronaut. Wow. That would have been an interesting flight. Of course, depending on where you fly out of, you could actually have a pretty steep angle of ascent there. So, flying above the clouds, I hate it. I really do. I was in panic mode the whole time. Yeah, yeah. My problem is my problem is that I get sick because the air quality in the airplane is so bad, and there's a lot of travel stress anyway. Um, but my problem is it always activates my it always messes with my basically it's I usually get like a bad case of bronchitis, and I'll be down for 3 or 4 days after traveling, or I'll get back from a trip and that second flight, the air, between air and being away and having being in a different place and not getting good rest, um, it it wrecks my it messes with my immune system, and I get bronchitis. I usually get bronchitis once a year anyway, because of allergies. I tend to get that upper respiratory infection because of things. So, hey Warpgate, how's it going? Saw missing rivets in the plane's wings. Warpgate Studios. Warpgate Studios is here in the house. Great to see you. I just watched Dave and Jake's last episode of the season. They had Phil, Glacial Geek, on, so I started a little late because I was watching the gallery. So that's always fun. And tonight is my final episode of the season because we all got to take a break sometime, and this is a good time of the year to take a break, especially with so much going on. Got to make time for friends and family. Well, um, friends. I do have family, and my cousin got a hold of me the other day, and we're talking about going to see the re-release of the Lord of the Rings movies. So, looking forward to that in January. And I'm gonna be puttering around here. I got some I got some new uprights for my shelving units, so I'm gonna be re-rigging the studio here over the break. Let's see. Got to take a break from streaming and buckle down for Golden Demon entries. Nice, nice. I've never entered Golden Demon their Warp Gate. I did enter the Origins Open last year, and I did about as best as I expected I would. I got two bronzes, in the categories that I entered in, but they were things that I hadn't really even planned on entering, so they weren't really. It was just kind of like, oh, we got a painting competition. Let me take a couple of things along. So they weren't things that I really spent a lot of time analyzing my paintwork on. So, but I'll tell you one thing: if you are a confident painter, after engaging in a competition like that, at least for myself, I found that it has. This is going to sound weird, but it has actually shaken my confidence a little bit. I look at what I do and I go, why am I doing that? I mean, it's kind of like, okay, maybe my stuff isn't as good as I thought. But then again, I also think I'm generally painting for a different reason anyway. I'm not a competition painter. Um, for me, competition. The only reason for competition would be to maybe get a commissioning business off the ground. But you know, I'm never gonna wind up in Vercos. Never gonna wind up in Vercos. I'm just not that good. But I've been painting for a long time, and I was just saying to another one of the regular viewers here. I was talking to him on Facebook earlier today about I'm kind of feeling like I'm at a plateau in my skill level, or at least I'm doing things in a process, and I'm not really putting a lot of thought into it. And so I've been looking at a lot of different paint styles, people using uh, more artistic, impressionistic sort of loose lines and things kind of flowing a little bit better around the model, and going outside, kind of, you know. So like Toulouse-Lautrec was an artist of the impressionistic period, and he would paint. He would do a lot of like posters and the like. And he drew a lot of criticism because he would do different shades on skin that weren't traditional skin tones. He would paint skin the way it would reflect light. So that's something I need to start maybe thinking about. Maybe do some busts or like, because doing stuff at this scale is great, but getting those really heavy, high detail painterly sort of artistic styles, I don't know if I can get it at that level. So I think if I start out with something larger, I'll do better. Let's see. I'm in an army painter and tried the display stuff last year and managed to pin at GD and then win some other comps during the year. It's true though; it can put you off of entering for sure. Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know that it necessarily puts me off of entering, but it really puts me off of my level of confidence. You know, because I mean, I try to do good work, try to do something that I'm satisfied with, and then when the judge says, "Well, you missed this spot, and you missed this," and it's things that I should have, again, there were pieces that I hadn't intended on entering on anything. I just grabbed them off the shelf. One of them was going to go into a display booth for a vendor anyway. So it, the things that the judges pointed out to me were not they were not terrible. They were not unforgivable sins. They were just things that I missed that I didn't think about. Um, so tabletop plus, I guess, low level display quality. Oh, let's see about getting rid of this bot here. But you know, I've got a lot of stuff to paint, and I don't know that I want to try to paint a whole lot of high level stuff. I just grabbed high level gaming bits I did this year, but I'm going to actually try and plan for display this year and maybe focus on 2 and 3 pieces. See how they do. Yeah, I mean that sounds terrific, Warpgate. I think that's the way to go. For me, I don't know that I will. It's just I've got so many things to paint that I don't know what I would want to paint for a competition and how do I work that into my regular painting schedule. Um, it's just a weird thing. It's a weird thing. But hey, I saw your interview with Dave Taylor the other day. That was pretty good. That was really nice. So that was good. Um, I need to. I want to do a show with him and talk about, like, I want them to do a how to run a paint and take show. I'd like to do that with them on Bill Paint Play some night. I talked to them about that last year, but they've got so many great people lined up for next year for their interviews, and Dave's got some really really great people lined up for more of those books. That for me, being on the show once is enough. I mean, I don't have to be on it ever again. That's that. I mean, I would like to do a show about Paint and Take because I know they do the Paint and Take at San Diego Comic Con, and quite honestly, it was Rick Ankney that was kind of the inspiring. He was like the motivator for me to start doing Paint and Takes at local conventions, because I saw what he was doing. I saw, it was one of those things. Do I host games of Sail Power and Tech Commander for SDGS and try to evangelize my friends' games, which may or may not pan out into sales, or do I get people hooked on painting miniatures so that eventually they may find our products? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think just get a paintbrush in people's hands is probably more important than trying to get them to play your game right now. I mean, yeah, yeah. It was obvious you guys were good, have been good buddies for a while. So I like interviews like that. Like last year, just before Adepticon, they had Ronnie Renton on, and that one was just like they were just chatting, and it was like watching. It was just like old home week, It was like just watching good buddies talk about old times, war stories, as my dad would say. So, but that was nice. I mean, it was a nice interview. It was obviously you guys had good history with each other. I mean, I like watching videos like that, and we can't all get interviews with, say, like Rick Priestley or John Stollard or the like. I'm sure they'd be up for it, but you know, Dave's a ground level guy, Easy to talk to, enthusiastic, downright good person. So, always a pleasure to see him around, But and I know him from the page. I only knew him from pages of White Dwarf, and then he was on the Painting Happy Little Minis show there that he was running for GTM, and it would always come on just as I would get home from work. So I was like, wait, Dave Taylor, are you the Dave Taylor? It's like, yep, I'm that one. So, and I've always been a little bit of the peanut gallery. At times, I tend to be a little bit of the punster at times, and so I was taking cheap shots from the peanut gallery. But no, that was a nice little show that they had there, and then that ended, and that's the other thing that started me off doing streaming. Was I was like, you know what, if an outfit like GTM isn't doing produced videos, and you have somebody that with the skill sets that Dave's got, and they could be doing all this really heavy duty, highly produced media, and all he's doing is streaming, I can stream too, because I wanted to do produced videos as well, but I don't have the time. But I do have time to turn the camera on and paint. So yeah, he's sound. He's also helped out Mel Bowes a lot, who my dad knows back in the UK, so it's all a happy family thing. Oh yeah, okay, Yeah, yeah. Mel's book hit like gangbusters, and I haven't seen much of Mel on YouTube. I know he's had his problems and issues over the last few years, so I hope the best for him. Um, it's just life, life and everything in it, right? But yeah, it's funny. The more people you meet, the smaller your world becomes. I remember the Adepticon that Mel came out for, and everybody and their brother gave him a big box of whatchamacallits. Oh, that's funny. Let's see. I think he's pretty well finished his Big Burma build. So last I knew, pretty well he was pretty well done with that. But that was a couple of months ago that I saw that. So yeah, yeah. Well, and the thing is the Sea Dog Game Studios booth was right across from Army Painter, so I was back and forth through there quite a bit between games and picking up footage for well again content creation. So I got what's called a tour box. This is kind of cool. I'm hoping this will help me with my workflow for my editing because I've still got to edit all the footage I took from last year's Adepticon. And we're 96, 96 days, 97 days away from Adepticon now. So this is called a tour box. And so it plugs into your computer and it's got a dial and pushes up and down. Now, this is the cheaper one. They've got a couple of more deluxe versions, but just starting out with a tool, get the basic one. So it's got clickers. It's got a dial, so you couple of dials, so you can really fine tune your your editing, and you can set up hotkeys. So I'm looking forward to getting into using that. That's called a tour box, and if you're interested in doing, I mean, I got it for 60 or 70 bucks. Like I said, it's the basic model. But if you're interested in doing any kind of editing, I think it's a good tool to have. So yeah, Miar. Wait, who? Um, well, that was we were talking about Mel Bowes Miar. He wrote Terrain Essentials. He's also known as the Terrain Tutor on YouTube. So, but yeah, the other thing I like about the industry, and I've always watched the industry because I lived in a place. Well, you know, Warpgate, you and I are probably in the same age range, probably. And before the internet, all we had were magazines. Well, the magazines would have things in them, and they would be 3 or 4 months late, or you would get a back issue somewhere, and you would find out about certain things, or the local news would talk about something. Oh, and in Lexington, Kentucky, this weekend was the third annual gaming convention from the UK Gaming Club, and so you would always find out about this stuff a week late, or you would read about like Origins and Gen Con, and they were in these far off places that you'd never be able to get to as a kid. Lake Geneva, Baltimore, wherever, places that you'd never go because you didn't know anybody that could get there. Your folks weren't going to take you there because they weren't into what you're into. Um, so, uh, so reading articles and reading different things in different magazines, because there was Dungeon, there was Dragon, there was Polyhedron, there was Steve Jackson had a magazine. Avalon Hill had the General, that was another magazine. So you'd get these little drips and drabs. You would get these little drips and drabs of information about things, and you would go, okay, um, you kind of put things together, and you're kind of watching. It kind of developed, at least in me, it developed an interest in watching the industry, especially when I found out that Ralph Partha was in Cincinnati, 2 hours away from me as a kid. I never got to go there, but um, that's where they were. And then, of course, 30 years later, here I am doing painting. I paint stuff for Ralph Partha's website. Ralph Partha Legacy now, and be on good and personal terms with the owner or the runner, the guy that runs Ralph Partha now. Stay at his house, hang out, play games, work on stuff with him. Yeah, you just don't know where you go because it is a smaller. The longer you're in, the smaller the world gets, and the more people you meet. And what I was getting at was, you go to Adepticon, and you will see, like Ronnie. Ronnie works the booth at Adepticon. Mike Tunas at from Firelock, he works the booth at Adepticon. Matt, now Steamforge is a little bit bigger operation, but you see Matt at the Steamforge booth as well. You'll see, Victoria. She was at the Victoria Miniatures booth last year with Brett and Casey from Goobertown. They were selling their stuff. So you see all these people making all this really cool stuff, and you'll never be in another hobby or another trade, let's say, because it is a trade show. It is, if you are a painter, we could call it a trade, especially if you're making money off of it. You'll never get that at a, like, I could go to electrical trade show, like a construction trade show, and I will never see the CEO of Milwaukee Tools. Okay, I will never see the CEO of Bosch. I will never see the CEO of Caterpillar or Kubota. But at these little shows, it's all hands on deck, and I know it's funny because GW sends out some high-ranking people, but the smaller shops, the smaller producers, everybody comes in, everybody's on board, and it's great because you can see the love of the hobby from the top down. And when you have that, you know that you're going to get a good product. You're going to have people, because people from the top down are interested in what they're doing. Not only are they interested in what they're doing, they want you to love what they're doing. So they're going to make it the best that they can. Because they love it. They want you to love it. And if there's something, if it's not for you, they don't get upset. They know that everybody's got a taste. So, but yeah, I tell you, that's the cool thing about the hobby, is that nowhere else will you go to a show like that. Like, you'll never meet the CEO of Fender. If you went to NAMM, right? NAMM is a music industry show. Now, sometimes you may run into some high mucky mucks there, but for the most part, the floor staff is the floor staff, and you'll never see the CEOs. But at Adepticon, the CEOs are all running. A lot of them are right there. A lot of them are working the booth. A lot of them are going to tell you the cool thing about what their product is. I mean, but I digress. We're talking about becoming an industry watcher. So, being an industry watcher, watching what's going on and who's doing what and what products are coming out and who's working with who, and that it's kind of neat. It doesn't have the drama of like say sports. You know, you see a lot of people kind of do the same thing with sports, but there's a lot less drama. It's just, oh, so and so is working with this game company now, and they're coming out with this product. Because what happens is projects end, projects meet their goal. There's nothing else to do, so people will move on. You know. Well, Ronnie sorted myself and Peachy out with some Halo, Flashpoint, and paint for their site. Nice, 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 nice. Very cool. Yeah, and see that's the thing is you make those connections, or you reawaken those connections. You know, because you probably knew them a lot more. You know, I'm just coming from the outside as a consumer, as an industry watcher. You know, and I'm just like, oh, these guys that I've read about, I've seen them, and I've read their articles, and I watched their interviews, and I want to know what's going on. You know, but you know, I have much the same with like Ralph Partha and Sea Dog Game Studios. You know, oh, I want this. Can you get this painted and this, that, and the other? And so it's really cool because we have our little places that we have our friends that we make in the industry, and which doesn't mean that we can't make other friends in the industry. It just, you know, people know who we are, and we know what to expect from them, and they know what to expect from us. And so it's nice. It's nice. It kind of makes you feel like the hours. You know, when I was a kid, people said, "Oh, you know, that art will never take you anywhere. Learn a trade." So I did. I mean, it wasn't hard to learn. You know, family was doing electrical work, so I did electrical work. But you know, my thing is I would like to change my stars somehow and get something that could pay my bills. But that's a dream. That's everybody's dream in the hobby. A lot of times, I think people get that, and it's a monkey's paw dream. You know, it kind of becomes as much of a curse as it is a blessing. Um, it would be nice. I don't know if it would be the right thing for me because it seems like the more I look, is the more it requires a lot of discipline to keep oneself motivated because you're not going to an employer every day, you know. But what do you do? I mean, where do you go? Where do you know? It's one of those. So it's one of those things. Is yeah. So you want to work in the industry, but what do you think you can do? Because painters, I hate to say it, but us painters, man, we're a dime a dozen. Good ones, harder to find, and the good ones are worth every penny of it. Well, what do you do? Do you play test? Do you become a professional play tester? Do you work on as a rules committee? You know, I'm not a graphic artist. I have no idea how to do that stuff. I think that's probably what a lot of things need to be done. Logistics, sales, um, those things are all important. They're not glamorous, but they're part of the industry. They're what gets your products out to people. It's a lot of thinking, you know. But it's got to be the right place, the right time. You know, I could not move. I could not move to Baltimore. You know. Uh, or Texas, or Tennessee. I don't know. I mean, I guess I could, but it would have to. It's a process, you know. But yeah, there are a lot of really great people in the hobby. There's a few jerks, uh, you know, but you're gonna get that. And sometimes people aren't really jerks. It's just you met them on the wrong day. You know, that's the thing. I always try to give people the benefit of a doubt. You know, if somebody is a little brusque or a little short with you, you know what? It's okay. You probably just catch them at the wrong time. Maybe they haven't had their coffee yet. I have a graphic design company, so I work with a couple of them, but would love to work with more. Sure. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. That's the skill I don't have, so I can't put that out there. I just have years of being a consumer, being a customer, and knowing what I like, and knowing what seems like it would be something that would be interesting. You know, I would be a focus group guy, I guess. Advertisements and focus groups. I thought about doing advertising in school, but we didn't. But I went with paralegal instead because they didn't have an advertising. They had a business degree thing. I didn't want business. I wanted advertising. Which advertising would have had a graphic design track on it, I think, probably. But I was 26 when I went into college. I'd lived out on my own for several years, and I decided to try it. I didn't like it, and nobody could give me any good. You know, my problem with college was that everything else in the world you can buy custom. If you're paying money for something, you can get it customized to your needs. You want a car? You want a car customized? You want it painted a different color? It can be done. Well, you can't tell that to the people in education or higher education. Um, I was bored to death because the first 2 semesters were general education classes that I'd had, 8 years before in high school. Right? I was like, why are you teaching me? Why are we taking high school level English classes, guys? I I actually I actually scored really good on my ACT as far as English and usage, language skills. So I was like, why am I here? So, you know, I don't know. Regret? Not really. Why regret anything? You can't go back and change anything, right? So I just really figure live my life, right? So, what glue would I use to glue plexiglass to plastic Tupperware? Ooh, that's a weird one. Well, Tupperware is not friendly to plastic anyway. There are glues for acrylic, but it's acrylic to acrylic. You might try a contact adhesive, but Tupperware is a tough one. Tupperware and because Tupperware is a variant of HDPE, high density polyethylene, and polyethylene does not like glue. Oh, yeah. Well, great. Yeah, Warpgate. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'll be back. I'll be back to streaming back in July in January. So tonight's my last one for the year. So stop on in anytime. I'll catch you on your stream on your Instagram too from time to time. So be well, stay warm, have a nice winter. Hope everything turns out as you wish it to be. But yeah, definitely see you at Adepticon for sure. Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. What glue would I use to glue plexiglass to Tupperware? Man, I have no idea, Miar. I guess if you got a little bit of Tupperware and a little bit of plexiglass and tried several different things. But yep. So, and of course, this is a we're still trying to raise money for the 988 Lifeline as well. So I meant to mention that along the way somewhere, but I forgot. It's right down in the lower right hand corner, and of course, it's on all the media sites that I post to. But we'll resume that in January, probably towards the end of January. I need to have time to do a lot of things around here. I had some issues with my hot water tank yesterday and today, so I got the plumber out here today, and got that sorted. So So it is 10:01. We've got another hour to go. So I'm just doing these little rat dudes up here. Little Song of Blades and Heroes action. I could probably put these out in front of a Skaven army as well as a rat swarm. But they're not real GW figures. It doesn't matter, quite honestly. If you're not playing in a GW store or in an official event, you don't really need to worry about their figures. That's what nobody tells you. You can get just as good, if not better, figures for a better price. Don't get me wrong, I like Workshop's figures. I just don't like their figures. The figures that surround their figures. I think we all collect too much from time to time. That's why I am at this point. I'm at this point with my collecting where I'm pretty well settled with just about everything I've got. I'm not too worried about collecting too much more. A few things here and there to finish off a couple armies. But this year, I think I'm going to definitely be focusing on painting up armies, finishing up projects. Kind of like those gnolls. Those gnolls I've been wanting to do for a while, so I did those up finally. Finally got those out of the way. I've got some stuff here on the desk I need to finish up for Ralpartha Legacy. Get that out of the way. I've got some ships and some mechs to do for Sea Dog Game Studios. Plus, I have things I want to do for myself. So it's a... And I'm trying to do more hobby for myself off stream, because I have gotten kind of, I hate to say lazy, but I've gotten kind of lazy about letting myself only do hobby on stream, and then the rest of the time, the rest of my life, I'm so wiped out after work that I just kind of tend to veg out and doom scroll, when I could just hop up and come in here and just start painting. So, so it's one of those things. It's kind of a discipline thing for the next year. I've got to work on a little self discipline to do more, get more done, paint more. You know, and I was gonna do a piece for the Worthy, Path of the Worthy, for Adepticon this year, but I don't think I have the time. So that's gonna sit. I'm gonna have to figure out a time to start on that. Because the time that I wanted to start on it, I was working on something else. And yeah, it's just been. It's kind of a thing. Where do I put my time? Well, if I'm streaming, streaming is nice, but it does tend to. It has a distractive quality, and this is nothing against anybody in the chat by any means. You're all wonderful. I love you all. And I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad some of you are regular viewers of the channel. It really is nice to see same names in chat from week to week. I really do appreciate it. But there is a mildly distracting quality to it when you're trying to look. You're talking and you're chatting and you're trying to watch the screen so that you don't miss out on anybody and make everybody feel welcome. So So it can be a little bit of a challenge to get a whole lot done on stream, but I'm going to try to do more like on Saturdays, not streaming, but just hobby wise. Maybe Friday nights after coming home from work, even though I'm kind of pooped. I'd like to do more instead of just vegging out. Kind of get back to some of that old, put on some music sort of a thing. That is perspective. I don't know. Is it? Well, I love streaming. I love seeing people here. Answering hobby questions and being encouraging for people doing the hobby. Especially if I have people that come into the stream that I've made contact with at, say, some of my paint and take events. I want them to be here. I want them to ask questions. I want people to be here. I want people to hang out. I want them to have a quiet place, somebody to kind of riff off of and chat with. You know how it is, Miar. Yeah, your description puts perspective to the scene behind streaming. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is a bit of a scene behind streaming. Yeah. Because you have you have a lot going on when you're doing the hobby and streaming. You're making a trade off. You're making a trade off between streaming and being productive. And when it comes to people, I will always choose people over being productive. You know, that's that's it. Like, there's people that want to hang out and visit, and it's a highlight of their week. I mean, the fact that you're here, Miar, means that you've taken time out of your week to spend with me while I do this. That is that there is something. I don't know the right word. I almost said divine about it, but I don't think divine is the right word. That's maybe too big. There's something definitely special about it because you've made me part of your week, and I appreciate that. That is important. I can't remember who said that to me one time. I said, "Yeah, I don't have that many viewers or that many repeat. You know, I don't have that many viewers at a time, and I have a few people that are always showing up." And the person said, "See there, people have made you part of their week." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's true. People have made me part of their week." And so I try to honor that, which is why I put out, which was kind of why I started the Discord channel, was just to mostly be able to contact people and say whether or not I'm having to change things up for the week or not. So that way people aren't tuning in with nothing to watch. So I've got that all filled in around those rats there. Makes me think the difficulty of streaming your hobby. Yeah, there is some difficulty to it sometimes because you don't want to have a lot of dead air, for one thing. You know, so it's hard to always have something to do, but you also want to be accessible to people. Um, you know. All right, so those are all based up and ready to be painted in grays and blacks and browns and rat colors. So that's pretty cool. I based up these bat swarms as well. So I got bat swarms. Da na 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 na. Bat swarms. Hopefully YouTube doesn't ding me for that. Damn, YouTube's getting crazy, man. YouTube is absolutely going bonkers. So I got bat swarms, and I've got rat swarms. So that's pretty cool. So that's going to be fun to paint those up. And I need to finish basing these orcs. I need to get some more of these guys with the spears. So I've got 6 of these guys out here. I've got another 6 in the cabinet that are finished. So that'll give me 12. Again, a lot of these are going to be war bands for Song of Blades and Heroes. So I'm looking forward to putting those together. And then I've got half dozen of these archers, these orc archers, all by Bob Ollie sculpts. These are all sculpted by Bob Ollie. And they're from Reaper. I've got a lot of the Reaper Bones stuff because I went in pretty whole hog on it when they came out back in, what was that, 2011, 2012, something like that. So that's the thing. That's a lifetime of miniatures to paint up. Plus I've got quite a few metal ones as well. So looking forward to, as I look through things, I'm like, oh, I can group this together, and I can group this together. I can make this I can make this a big project. I can make that a big project. Like I've got these. Here's some goblins. I based them up. I put them on. Well, I didn't base them up. I put them on bases. So I've got 4 archers. I got 4 archers. I got 4 dudes with spiky clubs. And I've got 4 spearmen. So that'll be another neat little warband for Song of Blades and Heroes. So that's a pretty cool little perspective project there. And then I've got a bunch of stuff, probably 80% complete over here on the other side of the desk. So as I go along, getting things completed, clearing off the desk, I think that's going to be where I start. Finish the projects that are on the desk first before I get things that are off the desk. So I've got a lot of stuff going on there. Oh, what else have I got here? So I've got this dude here that I started some time ago that needs to be finished up. So that's a swamp troll, I guess, of some sort. So I don't know why. I think that paint was just kind of on the shiny side anyway. It's an old Testors acrylic paint that they were making. Testors tried to get into the acrylic miniatures painting game a while back, some years ago. And so I had a couple old bottles, and I think that's why it was so shiny. It was supposed to be flat, but it's not very flat. But it does kind of give an interesting effect. But I mean, he's like, I don't know, 60% done. Base needs to be done. Do a little bit of water effects maybe. But yeah, so I need to finish that dude up. I've got these other orcs by these are some Reaper orcs. I think they were sculpted by Trey Manor. So, and I cut that. That's actually a piece of brass wire right there, brass or steel wire, because that was a molded steel molded spear shaft there, but I cut it away and drilled out and put a piece of wire through there. So I've got these big red orcs to do. So they're going to be a nice little war band as well. So there's a war band to finish up. Red-skinned orcs. Maybe make them mountain orcs of some sort. Red-skinned orcs. That doesn't sound nice. Somebody could take offense to that. Got to finish up this purple worm here. Finish that one up. I'd like to get a couple more of those particular ones, because I've got the big giant one over in the drawer too. So yeah, I've got some kobolds. I got a little kobold warband that I've got based up. I got to paint. I got a bunch of these little dudes right here. I even have one that I cut his spear off because it was dumb. It was like just would not straighten up. So I cut it off and put a piece of this is a weird product. It's a piece of polystyrene rod with a piece of steel rod down the center of it. So yeah, that's kind of neat. So that's going to be I'm going to put a banner on that. So the kobolds can have a banner man. But yeah, I got quite a few of those dudes. And that's just in this little box here. There's a lot more in this box to go. So a lot to go. I think this is another Trey Manor sculpt. He had a lot in those early Bones figures. He kind of has a cartoony style. Reminds me a lot of World of Warcraft. Big hands, big feet. Oswald, the overladen henchman right here. This is pretty cool. That reminds me of Monty Python Holy Grail. Dun, 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 dun. All he needs is a pair of coconuts. I don't think he's got a pair of coconuts, but he could use a pair of coconuts. So that's going to be fun painting him. I think there's a metal version of him, and I think there's actually a redid. I think they redid this version, or they redid. They have another version of him, and they also have a female version of this as well. So, but yeah, there's a lot of neat little treasures in this box here that I'm gonna probably try to finish up the first part of the year, because these are little armies. They're war bands, but I do have armies to paint up as well. Of course, you saw my brood of owlbears. Again, I think this is another Trey Manor sculpt here. So, yeah, so I got 3 of them. I thought that was kind of cool. I like to put, if I get big monsters like that, I like to get them in units of 3. It's just kind of cool, because then you could have like somebody call up a big herd of them, and they look impressive. One owlbear, like against some of your heroes, might be impressive and scary, but you get 3 of those things out, when facing a war band. That'd be pretty wild. So, anyhow, yeah, but there are challenges, Miar, to streaming the hobby. Hey, Patty, how's it going? I just saw your messages pop up. I'm sorry. How you doing? I did not mean to ignore you. I wasn't looking at the screen. I apologize, Pat, if you're watching over there on the Rumble. Or no, you're on the YouTube, aren't you? I have the 2 screens swapped. So, how was work today? I went out to do a estimate for a lady, and she said, well, I have to find out if the HOA will let me do it. So I gave her my estimate, and then she called me later on this evening and said, well, my HOA won't let me do it. So I said, well, that's too bad, because you're out to work and I'm out the money. Oh, you were enjoying the maze? Great. So, yeah, so I got a lot of things halfway started on my table here. I've got the Spider Riders from the what is that? What would that be? The 8th edition Warhammer. So I want to finish those up too. They're sitting there. I started on them, and then it was November. Of course, I started on them before summertime. Summertime hit. My AC went out. I stopped coming in here to do hobby. Now that I've gotten an AC upstairs, I may do an upstairs hobby station. We'll see how that goes. So might do that. But I've got a lot of things on the desk to finish up. I'm just really trying to work through a bunch of stuff here, get it done, get it off of the desk. Living in between projects, or doing a project, getting it to a point, like I put together all these Chaos Terminators. I haven't gotten a chance to undercoat them yet. So they're going to get a coat of lead belcher, obviously, is what I'm going to use. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can't really do much with them because they're sitting there. Let's see, doing a renovation, laundry, kitchen, master, and of course the contractor killed the basement circuit, knocking out walls, chasing circuit. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. Well, remember, Sawzall is your friend. um, and nothing wrong with putting in a remodel box to extend wires down. Remodel box and a cover plate is also your friend, Pat. Don't forget that. Yeah, chasing circuits. Isn't that fun? Hopefully you've got a helper, or hopefully you say you got a journeyman, so you're probably the helper. So, but yeah, renovations can be difficult. I did a rewire for somebody here a couple of months ago, back in September, and yeah, got that done. It was I was pulling out a lot of knob and tube. So once I figured out where the knob and tube was coming from, I cut it off at that point, and yeah, I ran new circuits up and over, and that was fun by myself. By myself, probably would have been about half the time had I had a helper, but I mean, it took me 2 weeks to do it by myself. Probably could have done it in a week with a helper. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it's hard to say. There were a couple of things that were difficult, but we got it knocked out by myself. You're still the helper. Ah, yes. But I might be getting a helper myself this week. Like I said, I was having trouble with my hot water tank the last couple of days, so yesterday and today I didn't get much. Well, I didn't go in. I didn't go into work yesterday, and I went in only half day today. So that happens when you have your hot water tank go out. So anyhow, those are some of my projects that I'm going to be working on. I will still post these up to social media, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, when I'm working on them. But like I said, I'm not going to be streaming from now until about the middle of January. Taking a little break, work on the place around here, kind of rework the studio a little bit. I got some taller legs for my shelves, so I can go from 4 shelf, like instead of being 4 shelves tall, it'll be 5 shelves tall, so I can basically eliminate 1, 2, 3. Well, I should be able to eliminate one whole shelf unit, because that'll be an extra one up high instead of an extra one out wide. So that's gonna be fun. So that's good. Let's see. Oh, so many things to do. So many things. I'm working on some stuff for Sea Dog Game Studios. Here's a little bit. We're going to be reworking some things on the display for the conventions at the in the booth. So I've got about half of these cannons painted. Half of them painted, and talk about the thing. The funny thing about it is, cannons were painted all sorts of colors. The carriages were sometimes bright red or yellow or ochre. And sometimes the cannons, if the cannons were iron, a lot of times they were painted black or green or whatever they had handy. Other times, like some of the brass cannons would be left and they would turn green. It was just cannons from back in the black powder days are really a hodgepodge. You don't know what to expect of them, and trying to learn which cannons would have typically been brass and which cannons would have typically been iron, that's a rabbit hole. And I tell you what, you will pull your hair out trying to figure out the correct color for cannons. And that's something about historical war gamers. Most of them don't care. Most of them are pretty cool guys. But there's always that one or two guys that come by the booth and be like, well, you know, that color red really didn't exist in 1805. It was actually more of a vermilion. This is more of a scarlet. It's like, man, it's red. Who cares? And there was enough variation. It's like olive drab green. World War II guys will, I mean, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, look up olive drab World War II. Thing is there's so much variance between the quality of material, the quality of the dye, the amount of pigment in the dyes, the color fastness of the dyes. You had some that would change color from the factory by the time it got out to distribution. It would be slightly different green. And some green, it's funny, this is olive drab, but it looks like what we would call khaki. Go figure, right? So, yeah, olive drab, there was no such, I like to make the statement, there's no such thing as olive drab. So Pat was saying he's trying to pick up as many hours as possible this week to make it through Christmas and New Year's. I had his first merchandise sale in almost 3 months yesterday. That felt good. Nice. Well, hopefully you made a nice little chunk of change there. Keep the lights on a little bit longer. So if you want a cool t-shirts there, folks, go and check out Fourth Wall for Patty's Parlor games. He's got some neat things. He's got a really cool Knoll shirt that has a knoll on it. This knoll is like all dolled up with its hair up in a little, like the little elastic, the little hairband, and it's got makeup on, and it's just kind of a funny thing. It's called Nolly Things. Check it out. That's Patty's Parlor at Fourth Wall games. Just Google it. So that's pretty cool. I'm sure it did feel good. No doubt. Because let's see. So yeah. So support Patty over on his channel on the Rumble. And you can link to his store from his Rumble channel. There you go. That's what I should say. Yes, and Pat is also donating a portion of his proceeds from his sales to my 988 fundraiser. Quantum Reveries in the house. Long time no see, old friend. How you doing, Sean? My pet peeve is official colors. I hit that issue with model railroading and arguments over what color a certain railroad box cards were painted. The true answer there was whatever oxide red paint was cheapest at the time, and even that would fade in the sun. Absolutely. Very true, Quantum. How you doing, Quantum? Long time no see. Good to see you. This is, of course, the last stream of the year for me, and we're going to go on our usual break. Quantum is alive, he says. That is good. What was it Mr. Rogers used to say? It's such a good feeling to know you're alive. It's such a happy feeling. You're growing inside, and when we wake up ready to say, I'll make a brand new day. It's such a good feeling, a very good feeling, to know that you're alive. No, I believe it. I truly say so. I'm glad you're well, Quantum. I hope you are well. You're alive. I hope you're well. Hope things are going better for you. And of course, the suicide and crisis Lifeline button is right down there in the lower right hand corner underneath the Twitch stream there. If your team doesn't figure on a show-stopping bug, we might not get Christmas vacation time. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Wow. I've had to work through Christmas a few times. But, yeah. Hopefully you can get that debugged, get that worked out. That's the end of the year projects are always the worst because you always want to get those done so that they can get billed out for the end of the fiscal year. I hear that. I've done that several times where I've had to work long hours and get things done and work on days that I wouldn't normally work to get some things done. So this year I haven't so much had to do so, but it does happen. Yeah. Well, that's got to be crazy cuz you're doing that's coding, right? Quantum, you're doing some coding or some kind of computer programming and the like. So, but oh, ad advertisement over on Twitch. Of course, those of you who are watching on Rumble and YouTube don't have the problem of of advertisements yet. So feel free to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already on the YouTube and the Rumble. If you're following on Rumble, great. If you're fintech, financial technology, software programming, yeah. So you definitely need to get that debugged because that is whew, that's some stuff that could really mess with a lot of important things. That sounds like a big job there, Quandam. I hope you were able to get it in short order. Ah, Patty's over at the Rumble side now. He's like a spider monkey. He's here. He's there. He's everywhere. So hey Pat, you want to put your link in there in the Rumble chat, and I will link it over here to the Twitch as well, or I'll just I'll copy it over. So, but yeah, Quantum. Um, I was talking all through the commercial, didn't make any sense, but hopefully you can get that worked out. That sounds very important. So, of course, I've been running a fundraiser for the 988 Suicide and Crisis Prevention Lifeline, right there. So, if you haven't had a chance to contribute to it yet, you're more than welcome to. And then my friend Patty over here. So my friend Patty has a channel and he's got merch for his channel. Some of it might hit with you, some of it might not. But he's giving a portion of his proceeds to my fundraiser. So he's got some parody type stuff in there too. So check it out. But Quantum says he was looking forward to a week off. Isn't that the way it always goes? Isn't that the way it always goes? So, I don't know if you saw my Knoll Warband that I did for Song of Blades and Heroes. It's on my Instagram. I was just showing off. These are primed up and ready to go, so they'll probably be my next thing. I always get worried about painting animals because they're trying to do natural looking markings is a challenge. So I'm gonna have to really lean into the National Geographic to get the right colors for these owlbears. So, but so Patty has generously offered to give a portion of his proceeds from his shop to the 988 fundraiser that I have here on this channel. So you can do it that way, or you can... Oh, come on. Yeah, them crazy owlbears, absolutely. I don't know why Nightbot would think that them crazy is derogatory. Good grief. So I've got orcs. These are the Bob Ollie orcs. So the nice thing, the great thing about these Bones figures is they're really durable, and you know, if you want to take them to a games day or something and give kids something to play with, you don't have to worry about them getting broken or hurt really bad. Maybe get a little paint might get worn off of them just because plastic, but they're not bad at all. It can't be spreading the owlbear hate. Yeah, we don't brook any kind of hate speech, racism, sexism, any kind of discrimination against people here. We don't put up with that. Not at all. No, thank you. We have neighbors of all sorts, and we love them all. So, let's see. Well, it is 20 till, and I've really not got much more to do here. Like I said, I finished basing these guys, which was kind of the point of tonight, was to fill in this gap around here and sculpt the green stuff to match, or at least not be quite so obvious against the bases there. So it's not the greatest sculpting, but that's okay. You know, this is for fun. It's not a living yet. Let's see. Absolutely consider donating first, but if you want some swag, then consider the merch. Yes. Yeah, if you want cool swag, check out Patty's fourth wall there. If you want to directly donate, you're more than welcome to do that too. But I happen to like the Noli Things sweatshirt that Pat's got over there. I might get a couple of stickers. Who knows? So, and then these goblins, they're on bases now. So, but they've got that same cobblestone look to it. So I'm probably going to put some green stuff out here and fill that out a little bit more. Because it just looks weird to have that just stop and then paint on a round disc. It's nice to have that taken all the way out. So, but yeah, so consider the fourth wall shop there, because part of your money is going to be donated to the fundraiser and keeping Pat's lights on. You know, there's that. So yeah. Anyhow, it is 10:43. We've only got about 15 minutes left until 11 o'clock. 11 is when I hang it up. And so let's go ahead and we'll just finish up a little early tonight. That's okay. Quantum, it's great to see you again. I think Ed sent out a bunch of stickers. I don't know if you got stickers from Ed or not, but Monster Den Mini sent out a bunch of stickers. So mine came today. That was kind of a nice surprise. The hot Jawa sitting on the Gonk droid, that was pretty funny. So, all right. We are going to say good night to YouTube and good night to Rumble, because I can't raid out on Rumble unless I go through the studio. The studio will crash out my machine, I'm afraid. So we are going to say so long, farewell, good night to you and you and you. Keep on painting, keep on playing. And remember, no matter how bad today was, the sun is coming up tomorrow, and the world is a better place